talk about crime right now with Matt Vickers. He's a Conservative MP and Shadow Crime and Policing Minister. Very good morning to you, Matt.
Good morning, Julia. Good morning.
Thanks for joining us. I just want to ask, first of all, your reaction to the sentencing of the Crossbow killer, Kyle Clifford, yesterday. Extraordinary words spoken by John Hunt, the involved man who, I mean, BBC commentator, not many people know and love, who lost not only two daughters but his wife, and thankfully another daughter still survives, wasn't at home. But the most horrific killing and rape, of course, of the daughter who was the ex-girlfriend of Kyle Clifford. And John Hunt said in his victim impact statement, remember, to your dying day, there will be no release for you, Kyle. The screams of hell, I can hear them now. They're going to roll out the red carpet for you, talking about the killer as callous, cowardly and vindictive. Incredible words. I think many of us could feel, you know, the thought that if we'd lost, as he said, 3/4 of his family to this man. This man is in a wheelchair, having attacked himself with a crossbow himself. He's behind bars. He's never going to be released. But he was not forced to come to court yesterday. He was not forced even to watch the victim impact statements and the sentencing on video footage, because the judge said, well, you know, he's in a wheelchair and just thought it was inappropriate. I thought the Tories, when they were in power, were going to change the law. So if you were found guilty of a crime, you had to attend your sentencing and you had to hear what the victims had to say. Why has that not happened?
Yeah, I mean, when you look at that case, what an absolutely horrific situation to have endured for a family now trying to carry on in light of what's gone on. That creature should be locked up for as long as possible, and he should have been marched into that courtroom yesterday. He's an absolutely vile individual, sick monster, should have been locked up for as long as he's getting locked up for, and should have been forced to come in and listen. It was something that was coming forward in the criminal justice bill that was coming forward in the last government. Obviously, election came, it didn't make its way through the House.
That's pretty much everything, virtually everything that we want done. Where Tories go, oh, well, we were going to do that, but then this election miraculously appeared. I mean, 6 months earlier than it needed to be.
It was in a bill that was coming through the House. It would have been on the statute book by now. It's not, but there is a bill coming forwards now. We're going to make sure that such an amendment goes on it. I understand the government have now said that they will look at this and will consider it and consider putting it forward themselves. And it's the right thing to do. It needs to happen. Families who go through these things, those monsters deserve to listen to what they've done and the impact that it's had on these families.
Well, I mean, I have to say, I offered my services to head to the court and to drag him by his hair myself into the court. I don't understand why that isn't done. No. You know, when she's a guilty man, he doesn't get a choice about where he goes, as far as I'm concerned.
No.
There we are. Matt Vickers, thank you for that. Now, one of the things you're highlighting today is, frankly, the hardened thugs and even sex attackers who are making a mockery of justice. These are some statistics that have been identified showing just the extraordinarily low sentences that even serious offenders and indeed multiple repeat offenders are getting. Tell us what you found.
Well, 10% of offenders are responsible for half of all crime. This isn't people this is people who literally go out day and night to cause chaos on our streets and cause harm to everybody. They go out again and again, they get a slap on the wrist, and now the Labour government are looking at getting rid of some of those short sentences. Actually, we should be going completely the opposite way. These hyper-prolific offenders who constantly are in and out of prison they're dregs of society who constantly cause harm to others, who are thieving, who are doing all these vile things. They should be going away for longer. We need to look at actually not slackening off the time that people are going to prison and losing some of these short sentences. We actually need to be giving these people longer sentences and putting them away for much longer.
But we can't, of course, because we haven't got any space in our prisons. And there was a party that was in power for 14 years. I can't remember what they were called, but they might have had some time to build some more prisons, mightn't they?
I think you've got to look at what happened with the prison service. Of course, there was two reasons there was huge pressure on the prison service. One is because we toughened up sentences.
You did.
We started putting
people did start serving longer sentences, but we
started putting people away for longer. That causes pressure on the prison service.
But you didn't think of building new prisons to account for that.
Well, we did. We did put prison places in place. So what happened?
How many?
Two things happened that created the pressure. One was that we started putting people away for longer, and I think the government was right to do. I wasn't a minister at the time. I think the government was right to do that. We also, during the pandemic, made the decision that the court would carry on, that we would keep those people in prison. We wouldn't start slackening things off just because of the pandemic. We would carry on, and I think that was the right thing to do as well. Of course, that created pressure on prison places. We got to the point where, well, we had the biggest prison building programme since the Victorian ages. We built 13,000 more places in our prison system. That was the right thing to do. Of course, we need more places. The Labour government have made the decision to let people out early. The early release scheme was a choice. We were holding it
No,
together.
you no
Found a way
no
forward.
you. The Tories, if you'd been in power at the same time, you would have faced exactly the same pressure, and you'd have done exactly the same thing.
We would not. I would not have been walking through those lobbies to support that. I can tell you that for now.
It wasn't a
But in
vote.
real
It
terms,
wasn't a vote.
the other problem that we need, to solve is actually a huge proportion of our places are taken up by foreign national offenders.
Yep.
Hopefully, you're watching the news yesterday and you saw the commitment from this party, from this leader, this minister, that we will deport all foreign criminals. If you come to this country and you take the mick, you offend on our turf, you should be going back. And you know, if you're a country that refuses to take back your own offenders, we're going to remove your access to visas to come to this country. That's the negotiation.
I mean, that's, you know what, it sounds great, and let's cheer it all on. Reality is, it's always been the policy that foreign criminals should be deported, and yet most of them aren't. It's always
after you're in prison with various delays.
Yeah, but also, if
India
don't take back a particular a prisoner, you're not going to end, you know, the hundreds of thousands of visas that India gets over one prisoner they don't take back. It's not going to happen. These are great words and they sound fabulous, but it's not going to happen.
It is going to happen. It is going to happen because at the next election, we're going to get elected. Kemi's going to be the leader. I'm going to be a minister, and we're going to do it. We're committed to it. It's our policy.
I mean, I'd love it if it did happen. I think British people would be cheering it on. The trouble is, as you know, on a lot of policies, and again, as presenters like me come back at you on this and say, that sounds great. Why didn't you do it while you're in office? Now I know Kemi Badenoch wasn't the leader, and you weren't in that role. But a lot of people just say, look, no, but you talked the talk on this stuff for 14 years and didn't do any of it, and now you're complaining about it and saying, but this time we mean it.
I wasn't there for 14 years, but what I will say is there was a full policy platform behind this. As well as that, we've also talked about disapplying the Human Rights Act from all immigration cases. And you know, these things, they're actually amendments that we're going to vote for in there. That is going to happen. We are going to vote on this. We're going to vote on disapplying the Human Rights Act from immigration cases because the number of these stupid, ridiculous judgments that prevent, I mean, chicken nugget gate, where some bloke's kid doesn't like foreign chicken nuggets, so he shouldn't be deported. That is balmy. We need to do more to solve this. We need to stop giving judges license to go out there and create their own laws. If the British people elect a government, the government should make the decisions and be accountable for it.
Well, yeah, and I want to come on to that with the sentencing guidelines, but certainly some of the cases that have been highlighted in this, in some of these just extraordinary cases where prolific criminals haven't been given proper sentences. And it was a campaign group, Crush Crime, who've exposed what they call a frankly dangerous trend in the courts, seeing hardened criminals given an easy ride. That's what Robert Jenrick, the Justice Secretary, has said. But looking at a domestic abuser, 11 convictions for 13 offences against previous partners, handed just 9 weeks imprisonment after assaulting his fiancée. A man, a pervert who sexually assaulted 3 schoolgirls in one afternoon at a city centre, only getting 15 months in jail. Other people, again, who've just getting, you know, basically, you know, less than 2 years, even though they've got offence after offence after offence which they've committed. I mean, people really have had enough. Do you think that British people can trust you guys, though, if you did get back into office, that you would deal with this and you tackle it? Bearing in mind, we've seen, you know, shoplifting all but legalised to all intents and purposes under 200 quid under
That's wrong.
the Tory watch.
That's wrong. I need to stop you on that. 90% of offences that are charged for shoplifting are under 200 quid. That isn't right. Any police force out there who's telling you we can't charge someone because something's under 200 quid
I said effectively legalised. If you want to talk to the shopkeepers in my local high street, and they will tell you that no police officer turns up, and even when they've literally got the person, they'll face an assault charge. If they've got the ID of the person, they know who it is, no charges are brought. These people often go into court, they get fined, and the fine is less than the value of what they've stolen. That happened under the Tory watch.
I disagree with the 200 quid thing because I think it's wrong, and I think we shouldn't give the police the opt-out of saying they're under 200 quid is not a thing. It should be a thing, and actually the responsibility is there on the police to come out when they're called. Taxpayers, businesses who contribute in tax towards the funding of the police force should deserve that service. As you may know, I had a big scrap about protecting retail workers to make it a statutory aggravating offence. We're now bringing a standalone offence. It's the right thing to do. We should actually be going further. One of the measures that's in the bill that we had going through that Labour have removed from the new bill is around the responsibility. So if you're a prolific offender, if you've a repeat offender in that space, i.e. shoplifting, assaulting retail workers, we said that a judge should have to either put a tag on your ankle, ban you from the shopping place, or impose a curfew as part of your sentence.
I mean, they must just be, trembling with fear at that point. Put them in prison. Put them in prison.
Well,
after a certain number of offences, you go to prison
for a long time. But I'm saying while you're waiting for that to happen, you should be locked up. If you get some of these community services, you should be banned from going to that shopping place.
Listen, I had my handbag stolen on June the 1st last year. I'm still waiting for the CPS to make a decision about whether or not they're even going to charge the guy. He's on video. I provided the video, obviously, of it, but there we are. We'll see. I'll keep you posted on that, everyone. What do you make of the Sentencing Council? They've come back to Shabana Mahmood, the Labour Justice Secretary. She apparently was shocked and outraged to discover the Sentencing Council was suggesting that if someone is of ethnic minority, religious minority, claiming to be trans or any other apparently minority community, I don't know what they are, that they would be, the judge would basically be required to get a sort of pre-sentencing information on them, a pre-sentencing report, which nearly always means that you get mitigating factors and you get a lower sentence. This apparently was to address the fact that some ethnic minorities are getting more likely to get custodial sentences than others. Now, she said basically this is unacceptable to her. She's written to the Sentencing Council. They've written back and said, we're independent. You don't get to tell us what these guidelines should be. I can understand why Sentencing Council and magistrates and judges want individual say over individual cases, because that is judicial independence. But surely the guidelines and the law and the rules around sentencing should be up to accountable elected officials. I mean, members of Parliament and ministers, no?
It is entirely unacceptable. As I understand it, I think that the Lord Chancellor was actually consulted twice before this guidance went out. We've now got 20 days or something before it kicks in. It cannot be allowed to go on. Whatever needs to be done in this place to prevent it has to happen. We cannot have the two-tier justice system that we've talked about for a long time and is now being evidenced in guidance. It's actually in black and white there for all to see, a two-tier justice system. What does that say for the police officers out there putting their lives on the line now when they go to pull somebody up? Is that really going to instill confidence and allow them to act when people think the decisions are being made based on the colour of someone's skin? It is utterly unacceptable. It undermines everything about our justice system, everything about what's right and wrong in this country, actually, if you allow people to face different consequences based on the colour of their skin.
OK, just finally, Rupert Lowe has been ousted as a Reform MP, still sitting in Parliament. That came on the green benches behind his former colleagues yesterday. Would he be welcome in the Conservative Party?
I loved the vision earlier of you being the peacemaker and solving it all, the queen of diplomacy. Who knows? You might be able to sort them out.
But maybe some of these men need some bit of straight talking.
Well, perhaps, if they were actually, Julia, you should be running. You should get in here, sort us all out. I reckon.
I told you, I'm holding out for Empress and nothing else.
You deserve it. You deserve it. I reckon.
You.
I mean, we're a broad church as a party. That's part of our strength.
How broad?
I don't know that Rupert's made any inquiries about joining us. We'll let them get on with their own drama and whatever's going on Twitter. We'll get on with a job in here of laying these amendments to try and apply the Human Rights Act, etc., etc. We're getting on with the job of trying to make this legislation fit for purpose, and we'll let them go on with the psychodrama on Twitter.
All right, yeah. No psychodrama going on behind the scenes of the Tories, of course, wink, wink. Anyway, Matt Vickers, Conservative MP, Shadow Crime and Policing Minister, thank you for that.